This is something I've been working on for a lifetime. At this point in my life, I'm 69 years old. I've had years and years, oh my God, more years than you can even imagine, of experience in business. All the way from starting as a call center agent way back in the 70s to being a CEO and president as I am today. So, being the guy that I am, I started writing a book because I figured, okay, well, maybe someday someone will see this somewhere, pick it up, it'll plant a seed for them, and they'll get some of the lessons that I've worked hard to learn. So with that, the book is called Lessons I've Learned in No Particular Order. I did grab onto a couple mentors, and all unbeknownst to them, those are the people that I learned with. So let me share with you some of the lessons I've learned in no particular order. Good morning. It's Friday, August 5th, 2022. Welcome to my home. Hey, it's really exciting for me to get to talk to you today about the particular lesson we're going to talk about, which is this idea of a warrior mentality. You know, there are 32 million, 31.7 actually, million businesses in the United States with 500 or less employees. Think about that number, 32 million. I mean, that's an incredible amount of business. And then obviously there are more above and beyond 500 employees. A business begins, and after year one, 25% of all businesses that begin in year one die. After 5 years, half of the businesses that started die. And you have to ask yourself why. And oftentimes you run out of money. Oftentimes your idea that you began with changes, or the market has changed and that idea is not as effective anymore. Many times, and I've seen this more often than not, businesses go flat and there is no inspiration to rekindle that business. I mean, listen, I can make up a lot of reasons and you can too. But let's talk about what I think is the key piece to making sure that business survives long term. You have to have a warrior mentality. What does that mean exactly? So let me tell you some of my own experience, and maybe this will bring it into a simple way to share this with you. So years ago, in the contact center technology space, I built a company that became one of the global leaders in what it did. But in the first few years, even 5 years of the business, it was so painful. I mean, it was the type of thing that people around me would have said, "You're an idiot. Why are you doing this? Stop it. You've lost your mind." It was no money. I will tell you something. I had a negative bank account. Well, I had multiple bank accounts, but I had negative money in my accounts for the first 3 years. I never had a positive dollar in my bank account. And you say, well, how can you do that? And why did you do that? And how did you survive? Well, certainly I survived with creativity, and certainly I survived by, moving blocks around and reshaping things and being creative. But the bottom line of it all, it was really, really painful. It was frightening. Not only was I frightened, my family was frightened. Even my friends were frightened. The employees sometimes were frightened. Because I believe in transparency, so the people around me knew what we were going through. Because I always felt like it isn't just me that's going through something, but all of us in the business are going through it too, and nobody should be blind to what we're facing. So I was negative in my bank account, and I had a controller during that time, and my controller was wonderful. she just was smart and she was capable and she helped me in numerous ways. And in many ways, I'm not sure that I could have made it without her. Now, one day, in all of our daily fear and sleepless nights, she said to me, I can't do this any longer. I just can't do this. This is too frightening, too scary. I can't do it. And she went on to explain to me that what we were doing was ridiculous and impossible, and it would never get better. And no matter how many sales we made, there was always more money that we needed to pay out. And that in spite of sales, it didn't make any sense to do this. Well, I said to her, let me, I'm not going to convince you different, because obviously that is the situation. So let me tell you, though, that you can't continue to work here, right? And she said, well, I'm not quitting. I'm just telling you what I'm feeling. And I said, yeah, I get it. But if you're feeling that and it's in your core, you're feeling that, you can't work here anymore. She said, well, I don't understand that. That makes no sense. So I told her a little story. And I said, look, think about this. We're in a war and we're fighting the barbarians. And there are 1,000 barbarians and there are only 5 of us left. Just 5 of us. All of our compatriots have died. We are 5. We're sitting on the top of a hill. It's evening. We can see the hearth fires of all of the barbarians below us. We hear them screaming and partying and yelling for our death. They know there's only 5 of us. And on top of it, we have no weapons and we're injured. Some of us are limping. Some of us are bleeding, on and on. And there's only 5 of us. So we are sitting in a circle knowing that in the morning we will be ripped apart and destroyed by these barbarians, of which we had no answers for. So here we are sitting. I stand up and I go, hey, I have an idea. If we move this way and do this and feint this way, maybe the rest of us can sneak through their lines and find ourselves to freedom. And this controller of mine stands up and goes, that's not possible, Steve. Here's why it's not possible. And everybody who had just had a bit of hope sat back down and said, yeah, you're right. Then, about an hour later, I stand up and go, hey, I got another idea. Hey, how about, and another person stands up and goes, hey, Steve, we can't do that because we're too gimpy. We can't walk. We can hardly run. And every single time I come up with an idea, all of the people inevitably shoot it down and judge it. By morning, we're all going to be dead, and we know that. And because I keep coming up with ideas and the people around me keep prejudging these ideas and saying, why not? Inevitably, we're going to die. And that's the only alternative. The benefit of those ideas is that maybe one person will survive, maybe 2. So I said to my controller, look, you're one of those people telling me why not. And I can't, unfortunately, have a why not in our company. Because for me, it's of course, we're going to survive. We're going to make it. I believe in our options, in our plan, and our purpose. And we can't let our clients down. We're hostage to our commitment to our clients. And so, angry as she was, she left. Now, I started to interview more controllers. Well, she was a part of that interview process before she left. and I couldn't get anybody. I would talk to people; they would be excited to start this job, and I was very transparent with the controllers about what they were facing. They were willing, and then they would talk to her, and they wouldn't do it. And it was that same idea of the five of us on the mountaintop. Finally, I just asked her to leave, and in that, we gained ourselves a controller. Well, the next controller that came in actually raised the bar on us, taught us things we didn't know, and helped us to survive. But if we hadn't have gone through that process, and if we had lived within our fear, we would never become the global leader that we became. Now, listen, there are other reasons for it. I get that, but you cannot allow that prejudgment of what's wrong into your company. You just can't do it, okay? But to do that correctly, you can't lie to your people either. So you, as the manager of your business, the owner of your business, the founder of your business, or the executive in your business, you have to absolutely, absolutely believe in it. You have to believe in why you're doing what you're doing and your cause, so that no matter what pain, what misery, what defeat on any given day you may feel, it's okay. There's still going to be an answer at some point. Now, for me, the answers were never easily apparent because I would feel the weight of the fear, just totally enveloping me. So I learned about myself, and that's another piece. You have to learn how you think. And I learned that I had to let my mind process, and I had to just absorb what was happening, take the body punches per se, and let my mind kind of peruse all of the options and just go back and forth and scan and scan and scan like radar until I found an idea. And what I just said is an idea, not perfection, not necessarily an answer, but just an idea. And then I would go with the idea and I would begin to implement it. And every time people began to live within why that idea was wrong, we couldn't work with that person. And I know that's harsh, but you can't live within that environment and survive. And that, to me, is being a warrior. A warrior is recognizing the pain that you are feeling and knowing that somehow, some way, even without an answer in the moment, you may survive. Now, I have a question here from one of the listeners, and it says, there are many reasons for success, but it takes just one reason to fail. That's what I took from what you said, Steve. That's Brian Marks. And the one reason is if you don't try. And he's absolutely right. You just have to keep doing it. And listen, there were tens of times that I would fail. Imagine what I said to you. I had negative money in my bank account at all times for years. And I learned how to move that money, make my payroll, handle my vendors, and survive because the long-term plan came together. And by the way, the long-term approach was not necessarily what I anticipated it would be when I began, right? It was different. But if you start your business or are living today or tomorrow in the pain and fear and frustration of your business, but in your heart of hearts and your passion, you really believe that it's a good idea and it makes sense, then survive it. Provide courage to yourself and continue to go forward. And then there's one last lesson before I let you go. And I mentioned it while I was talking. You cannot prejudge When you prejudge ideas, you come up with reasons why not. And the success of a business is dependent upon some way of finding how. And if you're thinking why not, you cannot determine how. And by the way, we don't know how other people think. We think we know how other people think because maybe we've seen people react a certain way or we ourselves feel certain ways. But in the moment, any given moment, with an idea that you present to the public, you don't know if it's the right time or the wrong time. So you have to continue to throw out your intensity to your audience. Wait for the parts that stick. Don't get defeated by the ones that don't, and then build off of those. But listen, you must be a warrior, but you have to understand being a warrior is not the movie where the music's playing in the background and you're a romantic figure. You're not a romantic figure. You're just surviving. And sometimes survival and living to fight another day is in itself a success. So with that, listen, I'm going to be gone here for a month. And when I get back, guess what? I'm going to be 70 years old. August 26th, 70 years old. I cannot believe it. I'm like, "Pah! Are you kidding me?" Because I don't feel any different than I've always felt. I've learned some lessons. I'm going to keep sharing them with you. And you'll see me. I'll be a year older on the first day or two of September when I visit you again. So listen, with that, you take care. Be a warrior. Bye-bye.